Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mystery CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Let's talk about The Adventures of Pinocchio. Published in 1883 by Carlo Collodi, The Adventures of Pinocchio tells the story of a puppet brought to life by a magical entity. He learns life lessons on a journey of mystery and peril. The book was beloved by many readers, and of course Walt Disney, who decided to make another beloved animated film. The movie is over 80 years old as of the time I'm making this review, and it's time for me to find out if it still holds up. This is Walt Disney's Pinocchio. When the woodworker Geppetto, voiced by Christian Rubb, sees a falling star, he wishes that the puppet he just finished, Pinocchio, voiced by Dickie Jones, would become a real boy. In the night, the Blue Fairy, voiced by Evelyn Venable, grants Geppetto's wish and asks Jiminy Cricket, voiced by Cliff Edwards, to serve as the wooden boy's conscience. How do you say that word? I don't know. But the naive and trusting Pinocchio falls into the clutches of the wicked Honest John, voiced by Walter Catlett, who leads him astray to the sinful Pleasure Island. So the story of this animated film is based around the book, which is a very good to note, as Walt Disney cares for these stories, but a simple story based around a book does not make the movie good on its own. Other resources of the story have to keep it up on its legs. So let's talk about the other resources of the movie. The characters are all great. I loved Pinocchio's childlike innocence and naiveness. He also constantly asks questions and, of course, gets understandably upset in certain scenes. Nowadays, movie studios try to make kids more adult, but this is an example of how to write a good child character. Now, as much as I love Pinocchio, my favorite character was Jiminy Cricket, as he was a perfect mentor character when it came to this story. Being Pinocchio's conscience, he also gives advice to Pinocchio and wants to keep him safe, even if it means keeping him away from a giant whale. Geppetto, Figaro, and Cleo are also great. Geppetto, despite being alone, comes off like a man who has never been a family man and just wants to be the best father he can be. Figaro was the best comic relief of the movie, as most of the jokes involving him always made me smile. Cleo had one joke that was reused again and again, but I still found it funny. The Blue Fairy is not in this movie much, but I loved how much of a motherly figure she is to Pinocchio. And as for our villain, or should I say villains, we have 5 here, those being Honest John, Gideon, Stromboli, the Coachman, and Monstro. Honest John and Gideon represent the ugly strangers of the world. Stromboli represents the greedy show people of the world. The Coachman represents the jerk that abuses kids, and Monstro represents the animalistic side of fear. These villains represent the scary side of the world. And I'm so glad they did this because it teaches kids a lesson that they can learn from, and that is, the dark side of the world is in many different places. This works so well, and it is by far the best part of the writing of this movie. Okay, now it's time for the animation. Like Snow White, the animation still looks crisp and smooth, even 80 plus years later, and I'm so glad this still looks as good as it does. That's all I really have to say. The music was done by most of the same composers of Snow White, and once again, they do a great job. The songs are great as heck. When You Wish Upon a Star even is used as the main theme in logos of most of Disney's films. One of the other songs are great too, but they're nowhere near as iconic. So, yes, if you haven't seen any of the Pinocchio adaptations, start with this one and wish upon a star that it is great. This movie definitely earns a 10 out of 10. Your dreams will come true. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your comments on the movie below, and tune in next week when I take a look at Fantasia. With that said, I'm Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.